I'm Nick Clark. This is the F.I.R.M's podcast. With the Amari situation, me and her mother, we were together. But I found out that she was pregnant. We were actually on the outs. My mind stayed at that time. I'm like, man, I got 2 kids from 2 different women. I'm so worried about the stereotypes people have of you. I'm hearing all this in my head. But I had to kind of, I guess, kill the critics in my head and say, hey, you know what? All that's gonna pass. You need to be a good father. We tried to make it work, and probably about a month in, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. So we parted our ways. We talked so much about the previous situation, and she saw a lot of the ups and downs, the pain, and just the journey that it was. And I think she knew a lot about that journey. And I can even remember having conversations about the child support, and she just knowing, because we were living together, she just knowing, okay, how much of a financial stretch it was for a certain period. And she was just always saying, man, I would never do that. I would never go for child support. I would never, ever do that. Man, I can remember she moved out. 3 days later, I got a call from child support service. So I ended up calling and saying, hey, child support service just called saying I need to come to the office about some child support. She said, well, Nick, I didn't know if you were gonna take care of your baby, so I just had to do what I had to do. If you felt like I wasn't gonna take care of my child, why would you even have a second child? Why would you even have a child with me? And I said, but what's crazy about that is I just paid for daycare because we had just signed Amari for daycare, and I gave you some money that same day. I'd been down this road before, so I kind of knew what I had to do again. So I ended up reaching back out to my attorney that I've used, Ms. Melanie Thompson, kind of told her the situation. So I'm back in court again. I kind of knew the ropes because I'd been through it. You just never know what's going to happen when you go into the courtroom. Her mother wanted $1,200 a month for Amari. How am I going to pay this for real? The judge told her the amount that they were requesting would cause an economic hardship. That's kind of how he deemed it as, because he felt like $1,200 a month was just too much for someone to have to pay with my salary. I think at that time, I was probably doing about $45,000 a year, I think, maybe at that time. We ended up bringing it down till about 600 was, so he settled at 600 too. I'm going back through the same emotions that I went through the first time, like, how do I survive? How do I make this happen? How do I provide an environment for my girls to where they're stable and I'm stable and I have a place where when they come over, they feel like home? One of the hardest parts when you're a dad, man, is when your kids come over. And say, for instance, if child support is financially just draining you, you can't do some of the things you would like to do. And that's hard, because your kids may come over and you may say, okay, hey, I got a roommate. Some people, I've known some people that have a roommate because they're just trying to find a way to maintain some decent standard of living. But then your kids come over and they may have to share a room where you guys are all in one room. So that's a real battle, man, that fathers battle with, or just, I'm not going to say fathers, or people on child support battle with, because now you're limited. And how do you pay lawyer fees when you're struggling to pay child support? You can't. So where do you ever get a leg up? And then even if you look at like child support services, they don't overly promote their fatherhood program, but they got lawyers for a mother. They got lawyers for their client. That's what I'm going to say. Their client. But technically speaking, you a client too. Because if I pay fees into child support, I'm a client too. The recipient's not only the client. No, we both have ties to this organization. We were able to sell everything. We kind of made the co-parenting work because I knew some things that I had just went through in the first relationship as it relates to being a parent. So I wanted to make sure that this time here was just a lot different. So we were able to co-parent. One day I hear from a random friend, have you heard that Amari's mother's gonna move? I'm like, nah, I didn't hear that. So I reached out to her mom, like, hey, somebody just told me that you're planning to move. So she said, yeah, I took a job. And I said, so when were you going to tell me? Because I didn't hear this from you. I heard this from somebody else. And I think if it's something like that, I should hear it from you. And she said, oh, we were going to talk about it. I said, but if you took a job, I felt like that's just something I needed to know, because now my visitation and everything was going to change as it relates to my daughter. I kind of explained to her how I felt about the move and kind of my stance on it. But I told her I would support the move, or I would be okay with the move if it was a better situation for her and my daughter. So they ended up moving out of state, which then made it just hard, man, because I have 2 kids, but one is out of state. But again, I'm paying child support, so I can't travel as much as I want to. Like, I want to see my kid every weekend, but now I'm having to say, okay, every 2 months, every 3 months, I'll come get her for maybe a weekend, or she'll come stay with me on the extended holidays. So that was just different, man. But we made it work, and she would come stay with me for the summer. So we made it happen, but it was just a change because it was something that I was not used to. After a while, the move went fine. Everything was cool. They were just living up there, and I kind of got to the point to where I had find myself being at peace with my daughter lives out of state. I have one daughter in Atlanta. I have one daughter that lives out of state. One of the hardest things to do is to separate your child away from you, man, when you just really want to be there. Only thing I just asked on my end was, please make sure that we have a standard schedule that we can maintain. And I'll make sure I do everything on my end to make sure I meet that obligation. I've never been a cat to where I felt any type of way either with either one of my children's mother. Because I feel like I trust them to make a sound decision, you know? So I don't really trip about that because I know if I'm not in their life, someone's gonna be in their life. I never refer to my kids. Me and my kids, we've had conversations about their mothers dating and things like that. And I talk about bonus dads because I don't believe in the word step, man, because I always think step is division. You know what I'm saying? I think it's division somewhere within there. So that's kind of my mindset on it because I look at them inheriting another man in life as a plus. So now, even though we're not together, you think they gain 4 parents instead of 2, you know? So because they gain another dad and they'll gain another mom on my end. So it's just a win-win for my kids, man. As long as we have the right people around them. That's all I ever cared about.
All right, Nick, so we're looking at episode 3, man. What's your thoughts after you seeing that episode?
Man, episode 3 is, it's crazy, man. It's still kind of surreal because I still can't believe a lot of things that transpired in the episode. So I'm still kind of, feel like I'm still in a dream. You know, I feel like I'm still in a dream. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've woke up from that one yet. I still smile every time I think about it. You know, and it's not even just episode 3. It's kind of like the whole journey.
Right.
You know, this whole journey just has me smiling, man, because it's came a long way from the beginning to now. I still have a long way to go.
Man, one of the things something that stuck out to me was you talked about how, I guess, the mother of your child left. You had all these conversations about child support not coming into the picture. Mm-hmm. She leaves 3 days later, there's child support. I mean, what do you talk to parents in general just about being able to look ahead, just being able to plan and be in a good situation as a parent? Because that was something, if you had to go on what y'all had talked about, you would have never thought that was coming to your door.
Oh, no, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't think it was coming because, bro, we were, like I said, I think in the previous situation, me and Peyton's mother were never together. In this situation, we were together. So you saw a lot of the trials and tribulations with it, and just having those conversations about it. It was kind of shocking to me and caught me off guard because I would have never expected it.
Right.
You know, but I mean, it was what it was, but I just would have never expected it. Mm-hmm. You know, because I think we had talked about it. It's like, hey, I would never do this. Then that happens. Like, oh, that was left field. But I mean, it was what it was, man. I think she had to do what she felt like was best for her. I think what bothered me, and that's why I said even, why would you have a child with me if you didn't think I was going to take care of my child? Right. You know, but I think it may be one of those type of things where like, hey, I want to make sure I'm getting what the other mothers get. Right. And that comes into play, and I don't think that's even cool sometimes. If you just guys have a great co-parenting relationship, that's bigger than that dollar amount again. Yeah. Because you can't buy that, man. A great co-parent relationship is worth more than any amount of money. Because I think if you guys have a great co-parent relationship, the money's gonna fall in place because you guys can communicate through that and work through those issues. Right.
So I mean, how important was it, man, that you were able to just check your ego at the door? And the only reason I say that is because you also talked about there being other people around your daughter. Like in those gaps when you're not there, some people they have a real struggle with other people being around their kids. And I don't know if it's a genuine issue of another person being around the kid, or if that's that person saying, well, it's not me, ain't nobody gonna be around my kid.
You know what, man? I think that's selfish though. I think it's selfish. I never had an ego about it. Because I always felt like if I'm not going to be with their mothers, somebody's going to be with them. Right. Only thing I've just ever asked, and I think this is probably what they want from me, you just make sure you pick the right. They're trusting my judgment, like I trust their judgment. Right. Don't have anyone around my kid that you don't feel comfortable with, you know, and vice versa, you know. So that's just how I move and what I think about the whole situation. But see, I'm cut from a different cloth too, because I'm the type to where if I'm dating a woman and she has children, I want to meet their father, because I want to let this brother know, hey man, I'm around your child. Because I think that's what men do. I'm not a little boy in the sense of, oh man, I ain't meeting him. Man, I don't care to meet him. That's your dude. No, I want to meet this brother so I can let him know, hey man, I'm such and such. Hey, I'm Amari's dad, I'm Peyton's dad, so you'll know. Right. And if you need anything, hey sir, feel free to reach out to me. This is my phone number. Right. Just in case, because you never know. I don't want to hold a grudge with his brother based upon something I don't know nothing about. So I've never worried about that, man. I just want that's they call who they date in their life. That's they call on whatever they choose to do. Now, if it endangers my child, then I step in.
Yeah.
But outside of that, excuse me, that has nothing to do with me. So I don't. Again, I've never worried about that. We never even had conversations about that because it doesn't pertain to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't. You know,
I
like I
got
said, they date who they want to date.
I got you. And so I think it's important that we take a second right here to just kind of put this in perspective for people, right? Some people they don't know you personally. They may be seeing the podcast for the first time. So we're looking at your journey, and your perspective is from a father. So if it sounds like we geared towards the fathers, that's because that's your perspective. But even let's just talk about for a second the mothers out there. Like we talking about this child support and how heavy it is on your journey. But for the mothers out there, and they need that child support. There is no father there who's trying to be present and be active. What do you say to them as they go through this process about having their ducks in a row and being prepared to, go walk this journey?
What you mean walk the journey in the sense of?
It's like child support. They're pursuing child support, and they may hear all types of negative things, but they need child support. They need that financial support because the father of the child may not be there, right? And the only reason I say that is because I'm trying to make sure that people understand that we're being inclusive in this, and any exclusivity is only based on your journey.
Yeah,
Your perspective. You're a father. You only know how to talk to it from the father's perspective.
Yeah.
But I know that in your work and in your past role, you've helped some mothers through this situation. So for the moms who may be trying to navigate getting child support for an absent father, what you have any advice or words of wisdom for them?
Well, my thing is, if you need the support, definitely seek the support because it's hard raising a child. And I don't think no one should be thrust in the role of raising a child by themselves because they did not create this child alone.
Right.
So therefore, if we all have, they have, or those two parties have a role to play in this relationship. Because if I have a child with someone, I got my role I got to play and I'm responsible for that. And they're expecting me to hold their end of the bargain. Because if both of us, drop the ball, that affects their child.
Right.
So we have a job to do, so we have to make sure we're doing that. So I'm not going to never tell a mother not to pursue child support if that's what she needs.
Right.
I think the only times it becomes an issue with me, or even just a person to pursue child support, is when it's like done out of spite.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? If it's done for necessity, yeah, that's a different ball game. And you can't run around here as a brother calling her all type of names or talking bad about her because she's doing something that you're not stepping up to the plate and do.
Right.
And sometimes that's what brothers do. We want to get mad and call out her name and do all this and that and the third. But she got to take care of her child. So what do you expect for her to do? Either you're going to step up to the plate or she's going to have to find somebody to make you step up to the plate, or whoever's going to have to find you somebody to find some type of way for you to step up to the plate.
Right.
And you hate to get other people involved in your business, but sometimes you guys just can't handle it. So there goes child support again. If you can't co-parent and effectively communicate, what am I left to do now? I had to bring a mediator in to iron out some things.
Absolutely.
So at least get some things settled so I can know, okay, you know what? I'm going to receive this amount of money a month from your mother or your father from the other parent. So I know kind of what I need to cover and what they're going, and what I need to offset.
Man.
But I think we don't want to, definitely, like I said, it's not a bad thing. And I don't want to sit up here and make it like, again, we're just bashing people or something like that. No, we're speaking from, I'm glad you said it, from a father's perspective.
Right.
And some of this is more just for men to hear and to help them be better and to understand some things too. Like, hey, bro, she doesn't put you on child support because she's trying to be messy. Sometimes they want you to step up to the plate because maybe she's been patient with you for years. I know some people have been working with brothers for years and they still hadn't done nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now you forcing my hand.
Yeah.
I got to get some help because I'm struggling and it's not fair for your child.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you just led to is a perfect segue to my personal perspective on it. And that's simply, sometimes brothers just need an opportunity to get themselves together, right? Like when a child is instantly born, it's something innately inside of mothers. They immediately become mom, right? Because not only they had 9 months to prepare, they felt that pain. They knew there was going to be an all day, all night process. Dads, even if they're doing the process, we still don't completely get it. Yeah. Mothers are innately, most of the time, they just, when the child is birthed, they immediately become mom, right? And I say that only because my personal perspective on it, man, the first year of my kid's life, I was trying to pursue an internship on Wall Street. I thought I was getting it together and I was planning and doing all these X, Y, and Z. But the mother of my child was just patient. It was because of her wisdom and guidance around her that she was able to do this, because she had friends like, girl, you gotta support him. Girl, put him on the court order. But she had some wisdom in her corner saying, sometimes people need time to grow. Yeah. And I'm just grateful for that opportunity that I had that time to grow, and I had an amazing spouse to be able to develop with, because I wasn't ready. Me personally, I just wasn't ready. I didn't immediately become father when my child was born. But I understood. You know, I got that knock at the door and I knew I had to do some things different.
Yeah, you have to, bro. I mean, it'll wake you up, man. But see, but again, bro, you're in a situation where you were blessed.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? A lot of cats don't get that curve, bro. It's like, hey, man,
Absolutely.
boom. And you seen times where as soon as they push them out, hey, they go into the office the next day. Like, hey, man, I'm ready to get this money now.
Yeah.
You know, so that's hard, man. That's hard. But again, you were blessed in a situation.
Oh yeah.
That was a true blessing.
Listen, nigga, I want to thank you for inviting me out, man, for letting me co-host as you get an opportunity to share your journey with the listeners and the viewers of the podcast, the F.I.R.M podcast. Anything you want to tell them as we head out?
Man, all I'm gonna say, bro, is thank you again, man, for taking the time. I know you have a lot going on, but it means a lot just for you to take the time, brother, and just come sit with me and just chop it up. And just this is like therapy again, touching on therapy. You know, just able to talk and share your story, because I think through this journey again, transparency is gonna change everything, and having uncomfortable conversations.
That's right.
You know, that's how you really change things. Having those tough conversations. But bro, I thank you for being here, and to everyone who's listening, I hope this has been beneficial to you, and I hope you continue to stay on this ride, because through this ride, I promise you, we're gonna touch a little bit of everything, and those areas may touch on areas such as resources, education, employment, just other brothers' story. And all I'm asking anyone when they come on the show is just be honest and just be open. Because through difficult conversations comes change. And without the difficult conversation, we can have change. But again, thank you for tuning in. Signing off for the F.I.R.M podcast. I'm Nick Clark. This is the F.I.R.M podcast.